not going to be able to
Freya's
read my
questions were all rejected. Her first question,
Oh.
darling, you're supposed to be drawing.
Yeah, but I need a pen.
Oh.
So there's pens by the phone.
Yeah, not that pen.
What pen do you need?
Like an actual good pen.
They're fine, Freya.
No, not those, like the fine line drawing pens that we have.
Right.
They're somewhere.
What's this?
When I was
See if she wants to
your
try the
age,
micron?
thank you.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
gotta
okay.
use them lightly. It might not. It might.
When I was your age, darling, I would draw with anything.
I need a pencil.
All right, take all the 6Bs.
No.
Take them all, darling. Take a rubber.
Them
Take a rubber. Take a sharpener.
and they're just gonna get
Have you-
colours.
Take the white rubber
Why?
because it's better.
Oh.
Right.
I was trying to aim it.
All right, done, darling. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. See you
Bye,
soon.
bye, lovely. Okay, so who's asking? Who's the interviewer?
You wanted to go first, right?
Right,
So,
okay.
Okay. All right. I can't wait.
Ron Throop.
Yeah.
Describe your experience of Stuckism.
That's pretty. That's going to be a long time. I'll do a fast one. 2013, my friend Dan Leo, who's a whole other story, turned me on to a Stuckist exhibition in London on a YouTube channel, right? And it was, you might recall, it was 2013. It was a group show. It looked like it was in a factory with a bunch of other groups.
Yeah, that was the avant-garde one that we did in Bermondsey.
Oh wow! Okay,
Yeah, I
you
remember
remember that?
Yeah,
were you in it?
I hung that show. Me, Charles, and
Awesome.
Shelley ordered pizzas at 3 a.m. the night before because, I mean, typical Stuckism exhibition. At the last minute, everything changes.
Okay.
Always, it was the same when we did an exhibition in Blackfriars. Me, Paul Harvey, Robert Janus, Charles. Everything's going great, and at last minute, everything changes.
Okay.
So 3 a.m. we ordered pizzas, and the pizza delivery guy looked terrified because it was in the middle of this warehouse in the middle of nowhere,
Right.
and he came up on his
They're gonna eat
moped.
me.
Yeah,
Right.
he was just happy to get out alive. That was, yeah, and we did it with Crisis, and Crisis were a homeless charity, and
There were other people showing too, not just Stuckists too, right?
yeah, that's right. It's a Crisis people.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So it was
okay.
a joint show between the Stuckists and the homeless shelter.
Ah.
And the embarrassing truth of it was you couldn't tell who was supposed to be the Stuckist and who was the homeless shelter. It just looked like one continuous show.
Totally I remember that.
There was no
I thought it was just
yeah.
all Stuckists until I went back afterwards.
So
yeah.
so all this, you know what I mean? It's like a bit of embarrassment. We're supposed to be the artists, you know
right,
what I mean?
Right. Well. Yeah.
I mean, you could just take anyone off the street, ask them to do a load of paintings, which are just as good as ours.
That might be another question because I think art is for the people with special needs. Anyway, so he turned me on to the video. I was already doing Stuckism. I was already having shows in my house. I was never even heard of it. The whole basic concept for me was always get rid of the middleman, throw out the galleries. So have in my house. So when he was showing me, and then I read the manifesto, I was like, what? This is going on? I said, these are my people. And so, was that the question? What was the question?
Your experience was describe your experience of Stuckism.
Oh, so that was how I learned about it. And then after that, I would just watch some videos of Charles Thompson, Joe Machine, and Ella Guru. I saw you probably in passing because you were putting stuff up in early 2010s, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I would just try to find Stuckists, but then it's around the world, there was nobody in my local town doing this or even interested in it. So there was this guy, Richard Bledsoe, and he was in Arizona, so I followed his blog, and I would send him paintings, and he would have shows of my work, and I think he came out here once to see a show with Charles. I'm pretty sure, if not, I could be mistaken.
I've never met him.
Yeah, so anyway, by 2014-15, I'm just having shows. I wrote a book called Just Another Stuckist in Oswego, and it wasn't really a book, it was more like a bunch of paintings with little essays, that I stream of, not consciousness, but armchair philosophy stuff. And then I would host. Then I had shows that I hosted, group shows of Stuckis, and then in 2016 I got a grant to. Oh, I learned about the Russians that I know, great painters, through the Stuckism Facebook page, and Alexei Stepanov wanted to trade paintings with me, and from then on we just started to work together. What they were doing was pure Stuckism. They would be getting together once or twice a week in Alexei's studio and be doing figure painting, and the model got to take home the one he or she liked the best, and that's what treasure, right?
Yeah.
So that was the payment, and then they finished the night with a glass of wine, and they would do all these things together. They'd go out plein-airing government buildings together,
Yeah.
which was it's different in Russia than us doing it, right? And they'd always be asked, what are you doing? We're painting. And anyway, so I had a show with them in Oswego. I want to drone. I've been doing this nonstop, and here I am in Muswell Hill doing it now. So I don't know.
Your second time in the Black Ivory.
That's right. I came here last year to see your show and to see London for the first time, but it was just a nice rider. We know that that I'm here to see people and meet folks, and I met Charles Thompson and you and Eamon Everall. I'm a Pugmire, and it was really eye-opening, and that's what Stuckism does for me. I would never be here if it wasn't for that little dumb Facebook page that nobody posts to except 5 people, probably. Holden House does it a lot.
Is Stuckism what you imagined it to be?
I think I imagine it to be what. Is that one of your questions?
Sorry, is what you found out since you heard about Stuckism what you expected you would find out, or has it been in any way different?
Way better. But also, I think I was already, like I said, doing it. All I did was embellish and make my life greater with artists, with other painters, and to talk to. I'm sitting here I had a show for Lupo Soul. I realized that I'm an advocate personality, so I like to see other people do well. And I think so. It's met all of my expectations and exceeded them, but I also think that's because of me and my imagination. I don't think Stuckists are really working too hard out there, except us.
That's right. That's right. They're not going to die of hard work. That's for sure.
And yeah.
Describe your experience of Black Ivory.
Black Ivory. Well, it was always confusing because I couldn't get that off my lips. It's the Black Ivory Printmaking and Audio Club, and it was a while before I realized that. And just when I was young, this is going to make you laugh. Black Ivory, I didn't even make the connection to an elephant, a black elephant and Black Ivory. At first, what's Black Ivory? What's Black Ivory? And when I was young, I didn't know that raisins came from grapes. So, I'm a little slow on the uptake.
I was 23 when I learned Buckingham Palace was in London.
That's great.
Even to the extent that when Princess Diana died and they had her funeral, they said that William and Harry, I think that's her children, were going to march, I think, in front of her, behind her, and they said from like Pall Mall to Buckingham Palace. And I thought, that's a trek, because I thought it was in Buckinghamshire.
Oh, is there a Buckinghamshire?
There's a county called Buckinghamshire next, because I lived in Berkshire, Buckinghamshire, and I assumed Buckingham Palace was in Buckinghamshire.
Totally get that.
And I was looking at a map, like I say, in my early 20s of central London, this cartoony map, and I saw Buckingham Palace right in the middle. Oh, okay.
I was at Buckingham House this morning. That's nice. I knew it was in London.
I know.
Did I answer the question completely?
Describe your experience of Black Art. You.
Oh no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so my experience here was last year. We came out for your show, Edward's show, and at the Highgate Gallery. It was a Friday night, and he invited us all back for some snacks, pizza, and whatnot. And we all sat around here, and it was just what I love most about Stuckism, bringing people together, artists together, talk shop. And we looked at your mask book, and
I forced it on all. I went around handing out my.
That's right. It wasn't forced. And we went to Sainsbury's, which I learned was your place to get groceries.
Yeah.
And I remember going around the back. It was dark, and Charles Thompson was just complaining. We're all going to get hurt. Fall
He
down.
was serious.
Yeah, I know.
He was really worried that he'd trip over and hurt himself.
I wasn't worried. And I just
Yeah.
met him, and when I met him at the before Black Ivory at the gallery, he came right up to me and immediately tried to get me to commit to his conceptual art. It was strange, and I said, if I want to be the king of England, I am. You don't have to believe me, but if I want to be, what are you going to tell me? I can't tell me I can't be. Because everything's subjective, even sanity, right?
Right.
So Black Ivory. So that was Friday, and you invited us back. We all got out about 1 a.m. We took Emma to the bus station, and we came back on Sunday and had a concert, and you had dinner for us. And we were late. We were at Charles's, and we arrived a little late. And you gave us some chicken and rice.
That's right. And then after that, we had the Stomach Turner Prize, and then you almost won, but at the last minute I decided that
Jompy should have won. Jompy was the star of the year, and so Black Ivory. My experience is I joined your last year after I got back. I joined your fan club.
Thanks. Yeah.
And it's worth it because you were sending stuff right on time, and when you had new, I'd get little packages, and I have them in my special Edgeworth Johnston Black Ivory corner. The experience right now it's limited to whatever I see online because I'm never here besides those 2 days, and then this week has been
the Instagram
amazing.
lives. You're
Right.
You're an essential part of that.
That's why it's hard to find a good interviewer. Good job. Yes.
Sure.
But you've been away, so but up for a while. He was. We were regularly meeting on Thursdays.
We're going to start that again.
I hope so.
I've been in Thailand for a few months and it
Right.
fell apart, but now I'm back in the UK for probably 6 months.
Until September.
Until
right.
September.
So yeah, I'm all for that. So on
Yeah,
Thursdays
we'll
we
do
meet and live paint, or they were doing here in this room they were doing some Lysistrata. What's that?
Yeah, we were rehearsing Lysistrata with Libby.
That was where you left off, pretty much.
Yeah, we sometimes Emma and I play some music. Do you paint while we play music? I can't.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just paint. That's all I do. I'm not. I don't know if I could. It would sound horrible if I just banged on a drum in Oswego, New York, and.
What was that one where you pre-recorded?
That was fun. That was.
Yeah,
I was
good.
thinking of that today, and you're telling me the truth that you didn't.
I didn't know.
I made a dummy of myself. I had like an egg paper mache thing, and I put a hat on my face and covered it with my clothes and put the camera just so it was, just obviously a mannequin dummy of me. But earlier that morning at 5 a.m, I spent an hour and a half just running a tape where every 15 minutes I'd say, "Ha, really good one, Emma," or "Yeah, I see what you mean," and "Yeah, I do this," whatever. Every 15 minutes or 5 minutes there'd be me interjecting some kind of statement, and I started off with, "Hey guys, how you doing?" So we started the broadcast, and they thought it was really there, just not in the frame of the video. And I'm upstairs cranking up because him and Emma are talking to me like it's me, but it wasn't me. It was a recording of me.
And then we played music that night, I think. So in our music, we've got your interjections.
That's right.
Coming in.
That's right. Good one.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
The next question is, how do you utilise the internet?
Pretty bad. I was just telling you and Richard today and On that
Richard's my dad, On is my girlfriend.
yes, that definition of insanity is doing things over and over again and expecting the same results. Doing the wrong thing over and over again, expecting the same results. Is that no?
Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
That's right. So my internet experience is I don't do enough if I'm going to get myself out there, because we've talked about this all week. If I'm going to sell paintings, no one's going to do it for me again. Stuckism doesn't take care of that for us, so we have to do it ourselves.
You have a lot of time, at least in London, a lot of my time is sat on a bus, otherwise doing nothing.
Right.
So you can, you do have a lot of time you can spend doing online stuff without it interfering with your daily schedule.
Right.
The worry, I think, for a lot of people is they'll get addicted to the internet and it'll take them away from their work.
Oh no, I don't use it.
I
I don't scroll. In the morning, I check the weather. If you're
Yeah.
asking the weather, and I see if dooms happen. I look a quick headline thing. Are we all dead? And I also check the market because I always gauge what people are going to do. Like the doom scenarios again by how much money they have. So other than that, I turn that off, and then I Instagram every painting, and I do that more for an archive than. Actually, that's not true. Instagram. I like the fact that I can put my work online because it keeps me generating, so it keeps the obsession going. I think if I didn't have to show it, even if only one person's watching, and I think Henry Miller, one of my favorite writers, said just one reader is all you need. You just need one person to read it if to be satisfied as a writer. And I feel the same with painting. So the internet is amazing just to put out an image on Instagram, even though I do use it for archival purposes so I can remember my titles, which are crazy. And but if I didn't get to put that out there every day, I think I would be very unhappy.
So you need the one. I need the one.
I need to know that somebody's looking at it because it satisfies me to go to keep going, and that says a lot about fame too. I believe people who get famous in creative endeavors, they keep getting advocates out there too, and enthusiastic for the next thing because of the fan base. Because people say you're great. First time somebody says you're great, you want to be great again. And great's an extreme thing, but you're doing right. Keep going.
Yeah.
Well, if you're isolated like I have been my whole life with art, then I need that push. There's nobody alive, without the internet in my sphere except my wife that would support me, and she'd support me if in any way except murder, probably.
Yeah. What do you hope to achieve during this week-long visit to Black Ivory?
I think I might have asked you that same type of question. Hope to achieve is already way beyond expectations of what I wanted to achieve. I wanted to get a lot of video content, a lot of photos, because I'm going to make a movie, which you will be able to see on YouTube, and it'll get about 17 million views, because when people are going to look for Stuckism, they're going to go to this movie.
If there was any justice.
I think when people type in Stuckism, it's going to be the best video out there. It's going to be full of a lot of humor and energy, and that's what we do. We create a lot of good energy here, and I think that's what Stuckism is. I might even title it Stuckisming.
Yeah.
I thought that was a neat thing. I don't know, play on words, who knows? Because we're actually doing it. It's like that's one thing the Stuckists don't do is Stuckism.
Yeah. So, going back to my question earlier,
right.
when I said, has your experience of Stuckism matched your initial expectation of it? Were you expecting that the manifesto was a bit of an ideology rather than an actual reality? No,
I really don't even like much of the manifesto. I like a couple of 3 or 4 things a lot that I get. One of them is showing your art. Must show it.
Right.
Why would I make it if I'm not showing it? To me, I think it might be because I'm a ham when I was growing up. If you watch any of our videos, you can see how I adapt really quickly to jumping around with a mask on. So I think I lost my train of thought.
I was like, well,
Prompt me.
Does your expectation, and he said, yeah, but there's 3 parts of the manifesto I like. One is showing your work.
Right, I think I'm Stuckism more than Stuckism is, I think. And you are, and other people too.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the spiritual end of it, no, I don't believe that there's any spirituality to what I'm doing. I paint, and it's definitely meditative. But spiritual, where I'm getting into another plane or thinking I'm one up on somebody, no, I don't think that at all. So that one doesn't work. The whole number 19 with the Brit art, what would I know about Brit art? I'm an American. So how can it be an international thing if it's talking about Brit art? Don't understand it. Tracy Emmons shouldn't even be on the Stuckist Manifesto, because if you're against the conceptual art, why are you just saying, it doesn't even make any sense. So anyway, and we were talking last night with Emma that Hokusai, how do you pronounce his name?
Oh, Hokusai, yeah, the Japanese.
He's like in the manifesto, he's a
Honorary.
Honorary Stuckist. Just read about his life. There's no way his father would have let him be a Stuckist making no money. And he had to, support families and stuff back then. It's just not, that was a silly call. Van Gogh, yes. But that guy, no. Yeah. So I think I'm a Stuckist, and I think if Stuckism is going to go forward, it's got to follow what we're doing.
It's funny. I saw it reminds me of something I saw. Billy Childish was interviewed about punk rock, and he said it was words to the effect of punk rock happened, even if it was started off as some like swindle or some big con. Mm-hmm. The kids in the provinces believed it, so it happened. It was the second generation that made it real. Mm-hmm. I think there might be elements of that true Stuckism as well.
Well, that's why I think that young people really should come closer to Stuckism, because they're not going to get. If you're going to college and your professor's sitting there on $100,000 a year salaries, saying, "Look at this coffee table book. This could be you someday," it isn't going to be you at all. It's never going to happen. There was a time in history. I love history. I get into it. It doesn't mean I'm right. It just means that I enjoy it and I like interpretations of it. It was there's no more Picassos coming into the world because nobody's interested in people like that anymore. We're all special. So I think Stuckism gives young people that opportunity to make something of it, and all that means is making paintings. And
I mean, like you were doing it anyway, and
like
then you found it. I mean, it's something I discovered as well. Like I discovered it not long after I started painting, but I was doing it anyway, and I think that's true of all of them.
Paul Harvey says a lot what you said about what Billy Childish said about punk. He said that was his life with punk music. It was everything. It changed the way they looked at things, the kids in the provinces, and he said Stuckism was easy to latch onto after that because that's how he felt about painting too. It's like it's what I want to do.
I think it's more powerful for the people finding Stuckism or punk or whatever movement. It's more powerful for the people discovering it than the people that make it, because the people that make it can see behind and they know to what extent it's actually a bit of a front.
Right.
But you don't see that. You get the veneer, you know what I mean, and then you take it on and you actually make it happen.
Yeah.
Which I thought when Billy said that, I thought that's quite a good observation is made there, and it's probably true of not just punk, but it's probably true of pretty much everything.
Sure, yeah.
Because I mean, I remember like even when you're a kid and you see things that are like awe-inspiring, and then you see them later in life and you see them for what they were like.
Right.
You know, some television program that for me it was like, I don't know, like Sesame Street. You know, and if I look back at Sesame Street now, it just looks like a load of like out of work actors jumping around in a suit.
They got work.
And for me, there's a whole world of Sesame Street and all these sort of what you imagine they did after the cameras went out. You imagined you were looking in on the world, and you realise it was just a few people with a camera.
Yeah.
The Wizard of Oz thing when you pull the curtain back.
I talk about that all the time since I was a cook. We used to talk about that.
Yeah.
My buddy and I would mention it's the Wizard of Oz. That's what we would say in the kitchen. You think all these great things are happening, and that's why I don't go out to dinner much anymore, because they're just picking their nose. Really, there's no great things happening, and you behind the curtain.
Yeah, after have you seen that Gordon Ramsay program where he goes into kitchens?
No.
It just tells everyone in the world, don't go to any restaurants because you don't know, you have no idea what's
some
going
of them
on.
are okay. Some of them maybe. Yeah. What else you got for me there?
To what extent, if any, does your working environment and experience differ from what you imagine most people might expect?
One more time.
To what extent, if any, does your working environment and experience differ from what you imagine most people might expect?
Like most people expect that I'm a bum, that I don't, you mean like their perception of what an artist is?
If someone comes across the presentation of Ron Throop that you think they're likely to see,
okay,
and what would they infer from that, which you think might be true or untrue?
Yeah, that his wife supports him. That would be true. I live in a small town, small community. I'm the only person that's even coming close to doing what I'm doing. That doesn't mean it's great, but it definitely singles me out as an eccentric character. So people don't have time for art. I have come up with a recent theory, though. COVID, and not just COVID, but middle age and people who are stuck in a career that pays roughly $100,000, £100,000 a year. they're all trying to look, and they're my age, they're looking for art. They're always looking for it, and they're trying to, and a lot of them are going toward music. So they're learning an instrument, and they're going to open mics, and they're getting the idea a little bit about making art, but they've had absolutely, but without the sensitivity, without the sensitivity of getting burned so many times.
Yeah.
No, it's a good sense, like a hardened thing. So when I think people look at me and they think he's either rich somehow, he's got money, because it's a very divide man and woman in the U.S. This guy still has to, at least if both are working, the guy better be making a little bit more. Right? So I'm pulled in all directions with that in a rural community where I am. So their perceptions are, the people who who get me, and I love them for it, and my friends and local folks. But it's the hardest thing in the world to be in a small town and say, and when the plumber comes over and he says, "So what do you do for a living?"
Yeah.
And he's looking at all your paintings. Actually, the people who install my heater, they're the young guys, they're apprenticing, they're learning the trade. They're going, "Whoa, this is so cool!" And every time,
Yeah.
And then the old guys are going, loser.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the perception everyone has, I think, of me in my community. But that's, again, we're back to the internet. Let's step back a little. I love that because I can be whatever identity I want to be, and that's very freeing. I'm here in London. I'm, that just sounds big, from a world that, small world that I come from, right? Yeah.
I think because you're not comfortable if you've got that 100,000. So you are comfortable, or you've at least got that comfort. If you're on 100 grand a year, you've got the comfort of being able to dip your toe in the water, be sensible.
Buy a hurdy-gurdy just because you can, right?
But comfort is the enemy of art for me. And if if you're in a position where you don't have a safety net, I think that's a good place to be.
Right. Yes.
So I would take comfort in the fact that.
Well, I do have a safety net, but there's a lot of baggage with that, and Rose and I, my wife, talk about that often. Like, it's been a flip. It's been a switch. Betty Friedan women of the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and even today experienced what I experienced. I stayed at home. I raised the kids. I do all the cooking, and that's filling the holes of the places that. Yeah. Wanting to paint, I have to make sure I do those things.
Yeah.
So I don't. But the 100,000 you mentioned, Rose might make that much or close to it, right? But I purposely, for the past year and a half, have been trying to stay below the poverty line, but not because I want to suffer. I'm not suffering, but that was a political statement. I don't want to pay taxes to my government, but I definitely get what you're saying. With hand-to-mouth existence is the best thing for an artist. Absolutely.
I think so.
You're going to push through no matter what, and it doesn't mean you have to suffer. I think suffering is silly.
It doesn't even have to be financial suffering, but all the artists I like, I can see that it was desperate. They're living in a world of some form of desperation
because they chose to be an artist.
Yes,
because nobody wanted anything they did. Right? I mean,
then you.
They didn't want the commodity.
It's like everyone gets weeded out. You get the artists that make it, or the artists that do art that's going to make it. They're gone out the equation. Then you got the artists that give up. Okay, they're gone.
You can be saying musicians too. Which are artists, right? Yeah.
And then of the leftovers, you've got the ones that will always try and scramble up and fail to make it, and you've got the ones who realise that the only way forward for them is to either totally, you might as well work in a sandwich shop or get 100 grand a year job, or do this totally my way.
That's exactly my point.
And some of those people will go up, and some will go down, some will go, but they're the people for which they're the diamonds in the rough.
Yes, and they're very rare.
And that's what you weed out.
Right. And I'm not saying that I'm rare and special, but he's definitely got a point, because there's nobody I know that does this stuff. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, and I wouldn't spend a week mucking around with someone who I didn't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Next one is Describe an average working day in the Ron Throop studio.
These are really good questions. I hope my questions even come close. They're going to be different.
Good.
The real art questions. A working day is I get up at my. Lately, I've been spending some time with my mother, who's getting a little older and needs a little bit more help. When I say lately, just in the past few weeks. But I'm going to come back to my regular schedule again. I'll explain that in a second. I'm up at 5 a.m. between 5 and 5:30. I have my coffee, evacuate, whatever you do, and then I go right to the basement for 5-10 minutes to set up my painting. If I didn't gesso a canvas the day before, I'm getting ready to go. I might even just take black paint or whatever, just do this. Just when I come back downstairs, I see a shape or something. Go up, wake Rose up, my wife, come back down. Paint a little bit till about 7. We have coffee together. She goes to work. I come back and paint again until, when I paint till 11 maybe, 11, 12, and then I have lunch. And if it's a rainy day, I'm definitely going to go back down to the studio after about a lunch. I'd call Rose at work and we talk. And I'll plug away doing something for an hour and a half, and then go for a walk. Well, no, it's raining, so I just read a book, whatever, pour whiskey, and then start dinner for the night.
Right.
If it's a nice day, I'll go for a walk. If it's sunny, I'll work in the garden. If it's not winter time, and I'll go for a walk. If it's fall, because I just love the leaves and stuff like that. It's an everyday thing, except weekends I'm more loose. I don't follow any schedule, but I definitely touch paint to paper at least 6 days a week.
Is there any reason why you get up so early in the morning?
It's just habit, because Rose goes to work.
Hello? Darling, can we help?
I need a brown colouring pencil.
Do you need me to find it for you?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's brown pencil.
Brown colouring pencil, right.
And
Can you work with oil pastels?
and yellow. Okay, actually.
There you go. Nice one.
You can get your fingers dirty.
Yeah. Sweet, just as you said you could get your fingers dirty, I got my fingers dirty.
Green. Oh well. That's yours.
So, I didn't hear your answer. Why do you get up so early in the morning?
Oh, habit. Rose works early, and it's habit because I raised both of my daughters and got them off to, homeschooled them until a certain age, and then got them off to school. So I was always searching for time. I used to paint at night only when I worked, and I taught the kids. I would do that in the day, and if I was working, I'd go to work at night, and I'd squeeze any time in. So that's what getting up early was, to paint. So the kids wouldn't get up till 7. So I'd be up at 5. I got to paint. This is since 2005, probably.
Right.
Yeah. Before that, I was always dabbling with paint, but I didn't get really serious until about 2008.
Do you find painting at different times of the day is different?
Yes, I do.
So, could you explain?
Morning time is my best time. It's when I'm most after coffee. It's when my brain's most awake and I'm feeling very confident. If I'm tired, it could work sometimes, but it's all about. There is something about my brain energy and painting, not ability, but flow.
And can you do long stints?
How long is long?
How long can you paint for? How long can you comfortably paint for before you feel I've got to have a break now?
4 hours.
Really?
Tops.
Wow!
Tops.
I can do 20 minutes.
Oh really? Well, what do you mean by break?
I need a break. I mean, when I can go. Like for example, I go to Billy's studio on a Monday,
Right.
and we're there from, let's say, 12 till mid-afternoon. So I'm doing a few hours, but I'm having a break to put the kettle on. I can't.
Okay.
I
Like
burn
going to the
out.
bathroom. I mean, stuff like. I
A
mean,
little
I
bit.
get up and walk.
Yeah, but because your body tells you need to, but not because your brain tells you you need to.
Right.
For me,
But that's all I'll do. So if I'm working 4 straight hours, I'm not going to do any more that day. I won't do anything. I'll just I'll put stuff on the internet maybe, but but no. That's my limit. That's my limit. 4 hours a day of painting for sure. 5. So when I'm saying I work in the morning and then the afternoon, that'll be a broken day, like you're saying.
right.
But if you ask me if I'm really into a painting and I'm
Yeah.
getting into it easily till that 8 o'clock slot to noon, no problem. But
Yeah,
I will quit at noon.
The other thing he said, that when you go to the room and you do, like you said, a squiggle to see if it starts you off,
Yeah,
you said you use black.
it could be anything.
Right, I
Any
thought
color.
black would be the last colour I would choose.
Right, no, it
to do
would
that.
be it would be any color.
Right.
Yeah, and it's just to get a idea maybe what I'm going to do, but that's not always the case.
Right.
Yeah, so who knows?
Describe. Oh, I've done that one. What ambitions do you have relating to your artwork?
Oh my god!
And
I never thought you would ask me these questions because your manifestos are so witty and
thanks.
and
Yeah.
this I thought you were going to really throw me a curve.
No,
This is fair. This is nice.
This is kind. I'm
Okay.
kind.
Okay.
I'm kind when people are sat in front of me,
Right.
and then when you're over there.
You're snarky.
Yeah, I need to. Yeah.
So what was the question? I'm sorry, the question again?
Do you have any ambitions relating to your artwork? And you can include
Yes.
music and writing and anything.
Yeah, okay, good.
But-
My ambitions are to, I think I said this to Emma last night, and you perfect my limitations. And that sounds silly. It's just a phrase I made up. I don't really think I'll ever be perfect even at my limitations. But we talked about our crazy old man, Hokusai,
Oh yeah.
and his quote saying that he didn't learn anything right until he was 50. He's 70-year-old now, and he finally can draw a line the way he wants to draw a line. When I see you drawing lines, I'm always envy's the wrong word. I don't have envy with you, but I definitely have. Wow, you're where you need to be. You're very
thanks.
confident when you just go up to something and just make a line. That's something that I want to keep doing. So where do I want to go?
Yeah.
I want to be able to make a freaking line.
Yeah.
Right now I'm just scribbling, but yeah.
That's something I really copied from Billy. Is that because when we paint together, he'll just steam in. And another thing I copied from Billy, it wasn't even me that noticed it. There used to be this guy called Matt who would go down the studio, Billy. Right, like this is back in 2013, and he said, "Do you notice?" Because I always used to brush until 2013. The bristles of the brush, I'd always sort of be looking, and I'll brush the way that was easiest on the bristles. I wouldn't go against.
Right.
It feels like you're shaving the wrong way.
Right. Okay.
That kind of.
I do that now all the time.
That's
right?
really important to me.
Okay.
Because Matt said, "Do you notice Billy sometimes makes that with a
Okay.
brush because he's going up the wrong way?" You know what I mean?
Right.
And I just I mimicked that,
Yeah.
and I've never forgotten it, and it's
Cool.
made a massive difference to how I paint. And it's not something. It seemed like such a little off the cuff statement that Matt made, but that's when it might look like confidence when I'm doing it, but I enjoy.
Well, they come out good. That's why.
I enjoy the destructive feeling of you going into an image and you're
Going
not
against the
compliment
grain.
it.
Yeah.
I suppose that wasn't deliberate, but not complimenting what's being done, but breaking it down, but not destroying it, keeping what's good, but breaking it and putting like another dimension in. Almost like you're sculpting into it,
Nice.
and that's
Wow.
what I try to do. And I think it might look like I'm confident, but I'm not really confident because I really don't know if it's going to work out or not.
Well, you have a way of stopping, and even if you're wrong, it's the Stuckism duty to be wrong, right? That's it.
It's a Stuckism duty. Yeah, Charles is really happy with me going Stuckism is wrong.
Wrong, right? Well,
And then when I told him it's actually in your manifesto, I don't think he realised.
right.
I don't think he realised that it was in the manifesto.
Right.
And
Well,
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
quite
exactly written like that, but it is like it's the duty to always be wrong.
that's right. It's a Stuckism duty to be wrong.
So breakthroughs is what I want, and breakthroughs to me are learning to play an instrument and going. My friend back home, he plays the violin, and he's in a traditional Irish band and stuff like that. They do the with all the fun instruments, mandolin and the
Accordion.
yeah. And he does violin. He plays a lot of different instruments, but he's been really studying to get to that next level of playing the fiddle. And he says he's hit it, and this guy who's just like a superstar with him says, "Yeah, you got it. You've improved." So it made him feel really good. But that's the feeling I think with art with me is it's not going to be money. I don't even know what to do with any kind of like fame or expectations from others. That would freak me out. So if a gallery said you have to make me 12 paintings and I maybe wouldn't if they were really hands off. Said anything you make around's great. We love you.
Yeah.
But that's the business side of it and money side, and I'd never go there because I'm as old as I am. I've just I've given that. I never had that. That was always a daydream, right?
Yeah.
So breakthroughs for me are learning to paint where the confidence is just what I want to see. Sometimes I get that, but and when you were talking about going against the grain, I was telling Edgeworth, all my brushes, I don't even have good brushes anymore. I just have frayed brushes. So this week, these paintings in here, I was painting in a completely different style, which was really good. It's like doing the thing with the brush that you were talking about. It's like doing something I'm not ready to do or confident, and it was very good exercise. So, but when I go home, I'm going to go right back to scribbling until I have another breakthrough or something different changes.
Yeah, it's not doing that easy wave of the wrist, which I
no,
that doesn't work for me at all.
Right.
But anyway, what does painting do for you?
Oh yeah, that's good. I think the practice of it is the biggest thing for me. It probably keeps my hyperactivity under control, I think.
Right.
I'd probably walk around the earth if I didn't paint, or just explode or blow up or whatever. I think it keeps me very happy. Sometimes I don't show myself jumping up and down. I can literally get up the chair and jump up and down and start dancing. And then sometimes I just fall on the floor and weep. So it's not painting that's doing that, but it's just being in touch with me. So it's very settling. It feels good.
Right.
I feel like I'm always in the right place when I'm painting. I could sit in my chair and just I know I'm in the right spot.
Is there any substitute if you weren't able to paint that would do anything to that extent?
No, nothing. If I had a restaurant that I didn't, so I didn't go that way because I was a cook. Maybe if I was a chef and it was mine and I was there every day, boiling potatoes, peeling potatoes, whatever. That maybe, but right now I couldn't think of a single thing. Yeah.
Where does writing compare regarding all this with you?
Writing is way back burner.
Right.
I write when it's funny because I started this whole game wanting to be a writer, and Henry Miller, when he who was a writer, when he had what do you call it, writer's block, he would paint, and he would go on these jags of watercolor painting for 30 days or whatever, and not write a thing. Well, that's how I started off because I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to write not fiction and but just not stream of consciousness, but more just like Henry Miller wrote. I wanted to be like him, right? As a 20-something-year-old, and so I would go paint. So he does it, I'll do it too. And it's already within 5 years. In 10 years, it's literally flipped that. Writing is when I don't feel like painting, I'll write, right? Which is rare, or I try to blend them in the same day.
Yeah, it's like no matter what you plan, you will find what you're supposed to do anyway.
Right. Right.
So I think Leonard Cohen only started making songs because it's the only way he could get anyone to listen to his poems was to sing them.
Brilliant. Allen Ginsberg did the same thing.
Yeah.
He started to sing. He saw what Bob Dylan was doing. It's like
it's all you've got to do is start. That's who said there wasn't me that came up with that, but I say it all the time. All you've got to do is start, and you will find. You might go around the houses, but going around the houses is productive anyway. So just do something, and you'll end up doing. You'll find it. Just don't do nothing.
Pretty much the story of my life. I'm never idle. I don't even know how. I take a cat nap if I'm getting old and I'm still not idle. Just keep moving.
Yeah. What does writing do for you?
When I paint, when I write, I'm tight. When I paint, I'm light. So what writing's really done for me mostly is it's mostly where my cynicism goes, and painting is literally the opposite. So writing something that if I like just a good flow of writing. There was a book I sent you like 4 or 5 years ago. I think is the best I'll ever write. It was a little book about Monsieur Tourette's.
Oh yeah,
syndrome.
We did those.
Yes, you did those
collaborations.
Well, my 3 words and you're amazing prints. But anyway, that was the kind of writing that I really loved. It was coming right. I was so angry at the world right then. All that everything, and it was, instead of running amok, I put it into writing, and that by far the best thing I've ever written. Even though nobody would want to read it.
I read it. I didn't read all of it.
Right.
I read. I sort of scan-read it, and I pulled out these little chunks, which reminded me of these block prints that I had laying idle, and I thought I could put that with that. And
well, the concept was like it was just I thought that I could take all that anger I was having and just and put it into words, and I succeeded. So, do I write prettily? No. Do I even write? Could I? If you told me to write an image of this room, I wouldn't even know where to begin. But I could paint it. Yeah. So I think painting's a way better form of expression for me.
Right. What does your music do for you?
I don't think it does anything. I don't like music. I love music. Love listening to music. I don't know nearly enough. I need to learn new music because I have ears and I should.
Do you think it would help if you were more learned in music?
Yeah,
I think
I think I've really lost out in not picking up that guitar more and learning it. So I'm very comfortable. I can just pick up it and strum away like I have since I was 16 years old. You tell me to give me a 12 chord progression, and if I know the chords or can get to them, I'm going to be able to understand you. I'll follow you, and if you say you're in the key of G, I'll be able to follow you with chords, right? So what does it do for me? There's guitar. Rose and I both have a guitar in the house sitting right there. Always, I pick it up every day. Just what was it? The Edge said in one of the songs, "Don't feel bored. Just pick up the guitar and play another chord."
Right.
So again, it's part of that moving, never being idle. So coming upstairs, painting clothes on. I was just when I get there's the guitar. I put it on and just start strumming.
And you've done a bit of writing, songwriting.
Yeah, just I get in jags, just like that Henry Miller thing. It's like, well, during COVID, I did a couple albums because I said, maybe probably inspired by you doing your music, you and Emma at the time. And I said, I'm just gonna make a couple, just write 30 songs, and in 2 weeks, and I wrote 30 songs in 2 weeks, and performed them for myself, wrote down the chords and the lyrics and all that stuff. It was a lot of fun, and it was, I thought, quite good for a folky type of music.
Yeah.
I thought the lyrics were fun.
But it didn't start the ball rolling.
No. I play out once in a while, but no, it's not I don't feel good enough. It'd be like, I don't think, it's a horrible thing to say. You say just do it, get up and start, but I don't have the drive to get up and start.
Sure.
You could say that about plumbing. I don't want to be a plumber, right?
Yeah.
It's just one of those things.
Sure. Do you consider yourself to have duties relating to your art?
Duties?
Yeah, things that you feel obliged to do, that might be outside of what you would otherwise do.
No. Like a commission or something? Like if somebody threw you...
It could be that. It could be the... Some people feel the need to try and make society a better place.
Or... good. Oh, that's that. Well, if you set that angle... Yeah, I screw myself over often because I get on that angle. Again, it's back to the writing, where if I'm painting, I'll just give a stupid title about how I'm feeling that day. It has nothing to do with the painting. But is the painting going to change the world? Of course not. Nor do I think it could possibly even. I don't think even Guernica's a big deal. It's
no,
like
I don't like
Guernica. Well, I don't.
All the ones they pick out, not all. The Picasso in the National Gallery is one of the worst Picassos I've ever seen.
You've been to Barcelona?
No, the National Gallery in
the National
Trafalgar
Gallery.
Square.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They've probably got more than one, but is this one of this sort of like girl? I think she's holding a baby, but and what's the other one? Demoiselle d'Avignon, the brothel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they aren't his best paintings by a long way.
Well, yeah.
But they're the ones everyone bangs on about.
Because that's where they have them. They're
you think they bought them, and now we need to write history to make sure the ones we got are the best.
I pretty much think that of most of art history. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about...
It's reverse engineered to come to that conclusion.
Georgia O'Keeffe She's
I know her.
New York City,
Yeah.
and she lived in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Ohio, 10 years ago, the Ohio Cincinnati Art Museum
Yeah.
buys one of her pieces for $1.4 million.
Right.
She's never, she never stepped foot in Ohio. Maybe passed through on her way to New Mexico.
Yeah.
So that's just bragging rights for what? To have a I don't know,
Yeah.
Jesus's toe. I mean, it's like it's a stupid all those local painters that could have helped.
She did the
And-
flowers, wasn't it?
Right, but she didn't have nothing, no connection to a museum in Cincinnati. So it's like that. These museums that are buying stuff, they're like trying to outdo each other all the time. So your Guernica and whatever we got stuck with this. Let's outdo each other. You know,
Yeah.
but anyway, the question was a better question than my rant. So what was the question again? I just want to put you were
Do
saying.
you consider yourself
Yeah,
to have
right.
duties
Yeah,
relating to your art?
No, I don't. I don't think. I think as an artist, I do. That's a big difference. Like you do your Starmer, Farmer, Harmer.
Yeah.
So you have duties to the society that you take a little bit of your art and do that.
I'll consider that separate to my art. But what I do, there is a phony overlap that doesn't really exist. So I'll do Star Farmer Harmer, really primarily for selfish reasons. I want to get out of the house, and I do
It's not
want
selfish. Okay.
I do want to engage with politics a bit. I do feel angry when I see people who find a victim, you know what I mean, and bully. And I think Starmer is a bully, and he irritates me.
Right.
So I thought I'd do Starmer Farmer Harmer, and I thought, well, it's not art, you know. Those Starmer Farmer Harmer.
Well, no, I know.
They're
No, I mean,
a bit
as a
fun,
person, you're still.
as a person,
you're right,
I
but
duties.
you're not making exactly.
As personal
That's-
duties, and that's what. Yeah, all the things I do that I feel are duty bound are things I feel duty bound as a person to do.
Yeah, me too. And the reason why if I get caught in that trap that I just made a book recently about the one I gave Emma. I do feel these things, and I can't separate them sometimes. The thing I make is the thing you're looking at is not going to change the world, but it sometimes is how I'm feeling that day. So whether it comes out, I mean, if I had one arm, I would paint differently. So if my heart's broken, I'm going to paint differently. So I can't separate that. So
No.
I definitely attach myself sometimes to that whole idea of what is political art is a joke anyway, because it's all subjective, right? It's not political. What makes it politics are like, how do you want to live in society? So if I want to make a bunch of flowers, I'd like to have more flowers in society. You know, it's like what is it? The John B. protest. You want to see more art in the. You had to do that for a reason, but
Yeah.
you want to see quality art in people's living rooms because it's too expensive. That's a political statement. I mean, it's it's what it is.
Yeah.
It's
No, I enjoy John P a lot, and I think it just I see a gap in the market, and I think I'm going to do this because someone else is going to do it. And I thought I like Bitcoin, and I did a bit of study of cryptocurrency, and they came up with these things called NFTs, which are rubbish, and the idea that you could have a one-off digital artwork
Rubbish.
or whatever.
yes. It's my new English word, by the way. Rubbish.
Yeah, and I thought, yeah, but you can have any number of NFTs. So if you've got one of one, it's like, you know, this list of questions is a one of one,
Right.
but nobody wants it because you've got one. So these NFT things, this rarity thing of having a blockchain for,
But isn't that what a painting is?
it depends if the quality is any good. I mean, the thing about a Picasso painting is it is a one-on-one, or a Van Gogh, or a Miro, or whatever.
It wasn't valuable in 1880, any Van Goghs.
It wasn't perceived as valuable
Right.
by most people, but
By all people, except his brother.
Yeah.
Gauguin. But that's
Yeah.
him. It's like, yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I think
And
one
I'm sure the other
person-
artists hated him too.
I think the pub landlady just used it to cover up a crack on the wall. She had a Van Gogh on the wall, but an NFT, there is no. You can't even
Right.
pretend there's a value there.
No, I know.
I mean, like with a Van Gogh, even back in the day, you could sort of try and make an argument that this guy's better than the guy next door who's also
Because
a
he's
painter.
making something.
There was a discussion to be had, but with NFTs, they're all just a load of crap. They're all to a penny.
It was a scam.
You know,
and it was put out. The
you
New York
had
Times was
the
writing
Bored
about it.
Ape, and
Yeah.
I thought this is an attempt to do something good, an NFT, but they're not doing it properly.
Right.
And I thought, I know how to do this properly. You do it with a physical artwork and you digitally verify it, but the physical artwork
Yeah.
is the
gold.
It's the product,
Mm-hmm.
and you just verify it on a blockchain.
Mm-hmm. So what's the difference? Why does it have to be jumpy? Does it have to be because you do different jumpies? So
Each one's numbered.
But right. But so if I just started numbering all my paintings and just doing a series, would that be the same thing? Could I make this? And I document it on a digital situation.
The problem with that is I did Jompy the way I do Jompy, so each one really has the same artistic value.
Okay.
So if I see a painting of yours, which I think is brilliant, I don't
Okay.
care what number it is.
Okay.
My idea with Jompy is I want people to like them, but I don't want people to really like one any more than the other.
That's smart. I never got that from you. You never
Right.
said that, or if
No.
you did, I didn't.
No, I didn't. I've never said that. Actually, I should have said that.
Because that opens up a whole different door for me.
The purity of it has to be of no intrinsic value. It's cardboard on paper. Otherwise, you've got that, or at least they're all of the same
You
intrinsic
just
value.
destroyed my Ethereum of art. You've just destroyed
Well,
with one
Bitcoin-
friggin' statement. Jeez.
Bitcoin does destroy all the other cryptos, but there'll be a flippening one. There'll be a
Okay.
flippening for
Okay,
Slumpu.
okay, at least while
I think you're.
it'll rise.
When I see what Slumpu's doing, I
Okay.
think, oh, this guy is.
But that's
like-
just art now. Now you just made the difference. It's the first time we've gotten through to me. So that's good.
Okay.
With why Jompy's different than art. I mean, it's
Yeah.
art, but
Yeah.
but it's also you're saying it's
You have to. You
very
have to.
similar and not one greater than the other. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's equally important with Jompy to make sure not that it is what it's supposed to be, but that it's nothing else.
Mhm.
Because if it's anything else, then it's another variable coming in,
Sure.
and the whole thing doesn't work.
Right.
So I gave it a bit of thought, not a great deal, but I just did them, and then I sort of realised there isn't anyone else doing Jompy.
Nope.
And I went on Google and I looked for Bitcoin of Art, and the bitcoinofart.com's available. No one's even thinking of a Bitcoin of Art.
Right. Right.
And Bitcoin's been around since 2009. We've
Right.
got NFTs.
Right.
It's all the same people who are interested in NFTs. It's all looking at what collectible is going to be the next explosive thing.
Right.
And no one's done this very simple connection of the physical artwork
Right.
being the product and the blockchain, which is just a ledger. It's nothing special. Any online record will do.
Mm.
And the photography on both front and back, you can't forge them, because that's another thing. If you can replicate it, that would completely destroy it.
Right.
So you've got to make them forge proof, and then you're watertight. And then if you've got a Jompy number 1, you've got something. If you've got Jompy number 10,000,
So now, how do you go from that? Who authenticates it to make it something? And Bitcoin had to be authenticated. Somebody trust has to happen. So how do you build the trust for people to start thinking of it as valuable in the sense that it can be traded?
I think fear of loss is the key. You've got to make people be frightened to not have one.
But nobody was afraid of Bitcoin when it was 30 cents, you know. So
No,
like,
but
what-
they're frightened of it now.
right. So how did they get to that? How did the leap happen with Bitcoin? That's the question.
The numbers, I think it's a numbers game. You've got so many people say, it's like the Emperor's new clothes. If everyone says the Emperor's wearing
Right.
clothes,
How did they get
he's
to
as
that
good
point?
as wearing clothes.
How did they get people to start talking about it? Was there an online guy going, you gotta get Bitcoin, you gotta get Bitcoin, you know?
I think there's a tipping point. And Gandhi, the quote from after I put on Jompy website, first they ignore you,
Oh, right.
then they laugh at you,
Right.
then they fight you, then you win, or something like
Right,
that.
yeah.
And I think they'll ignore you when you're one lone man saying,
Right.
look at this is great, and
Right.
no one agrees with you.
Right.
No one's even going to bother. Then you'll get a few of you round together, and you look like this pathetic rabble of losers,
That's right,
and
right.
they'll laugh.
Right.
Then a few more people come into the fold, and it's like there's a bit of a crowd going here,
Yeah.
and then they realise the numbers are going, because
Right.
you've got the theory about the numbers going is that you've got to get in early to
Yeah.
get a good one. The problem with Bitcoin is that every Bitcoin is worth the same. With Jompy, you've got to get in now,
Yeah.
because if you think I'll think about Jompy and I'll get in it later, all right, fine, but you're not going to have number 500. You're going to have number 5,000.
Right.
So then you think, and all the other thing about jumpy, you've got to make it so anyone can take one. Because if you put any money I ask is a barrier, so they're as good as free.
Okay, so they're free. Everybody's got them free. You got.
So I want them to get out there.
Say there's 3,000 out.
Yeah.
How does it ever become money trading? That's the question I would have to.
Yeah, it's the numbers.
Somebody have to say, hey, you want to buy my jumpy? It's low.
It will be relatively low.
Right.
So if there's 150 jumpy out there and you've got number 50, it's like, well, whatever. If there's 20,000 jumpy out there and you've got number 50, oh, actually, I think I might take that. Even if you think it's hedging your bets.
Yeah.
Even if you think this jumpy's a load of rubbish and the whole thing's a complete fraud, even if you thought that, you'd get one just in case. Because you think it's 50, it's a low number. So that's another person that's got one. And I think that's what happened with Bitcoin. If no one else had agreed with it, that Bitcoin white paper, if it hadn't engaged people, the whole thing wouldn't have worked.
Right.
It's not the value of the thing itself.
The concept was democratizing money, right? That was
and you need a large number of people.
Good timing was the crash of 2008.
Yeah.
All that people. So that's probably how it all developed.
It came out of that. It's 2000. Yeah.
So it also had a little crisis to spark.
Yeah.
The trust factor. Trust is big. With all currencies, trust is everything. You don't. Why did people trust the dollar? It's complete fiat. But they all trust it.
Yeah. It's as well. Yeah. The currencies now are as credible as the people behind them.
Right.
And I think
it's pretty scary.
Since COVID, people are more skeptical of authority. Full stop.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the interest in cryptocurrency since COVID, when people start considering conspiracy theory now as it's not just these tin hats who live in deep south or whatever.
Right.
Conspiracy theories are now repeatedly being proved to be the truth.
Right in front of our faces all the time.
And I think that environment was pushed forward because everyone saw firsthand. I was told to get the jab, and that was the government lying to me. It was the WHO lying to me. It was all these people who you were supposed to trust lied to us, and we all know that because we all got injected with their vaccine.
Right.
And they told I was living. Both my parents were alive at the time. I was living with them.
Yeah.
I didn't care about getting COVID because I knew I was relatively young and healthy.
Right.
But I thought I don't want to give it to my parents, so I went out and got the jab because they told me you won't give it to your parents.
Right.
So I go out and get the jab, and then it turns out in this COVID inquiry they had no data on transmissibility at all.
What? And they just go through it all over again.
Yeah. So I was going out, going back home, thinking I can't give it to my parents.
Right.
I could have killed my parents because I was under this. I believed the lie, and I think most people have had a similar experience to that.
Yeah.
So now we know that the banks, the politicians, what's Fauci's job title, whatever it is, it should be crook or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
They're all just in it for themselves. Starmer.
Oh, now I think they're just scared. So now they're scared because everybody knows they're not in it for themselves. They're just trying to save face so they don't get mauled.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's not. So the eve of Bitcoin was a financial crisis. The eve of jumpy
was COVID.
A trust crisis.
Yeah. Okay.
The fact that
I think so. I think with the free art too. I think that all kinds of neat things are happening.
How to what extent are galleries dependent on this phony idea that these paintings are worth hundreds of thousands of pounds when they're blatantly not?
Right.
And then if we come out and we're free art frees art is the mantra. If that's the right word.
Yeah.
It totally undermines. Yeah. Okay. My favourite was Starmer Farmer Harmer. Come up with that. The best was Emma.
Localized free art frees art is a worldwide thing. You could say.
Emma came up with the best one. Emma Pugmire said, "Benefits culture, benefits culture."
Yeah.
That was so good. But yeah, we did free art frees art, and on me and you at Camden.
Yes.
And I think, you can go the gallery route, but you've got two choices. You either, bend over or fail.
I told everybody that.
Do it yourself.
They were asking me why am I giving it away, and I said that's nothing. I don't do this all the time. I need to make money. So it's just today. It's just giving back to the community sort of thing. It's like whatever, but it works.
Yeah, I mean it's.
don't take yourself too seriously. There's a lot to be said about it.
And I think people can see, so they can see the truth even when they're buying the lie because they think it will work out for them. But everybody knows.
What part? The gallery part, you mean?
Yeah, when you're paying 20 grand or 20 million for a painting, you're trust.
That can only be a 0.5% of people have that kind of money. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a special class of people that can only ever pay that much money.
That's true,
and
but
they're investing with it.
There's only some people can actively engage in all that world, but the rest of us believe it. So the people, for example, if I said I've got a Damien Hirst outside my front door, anyone can pick it up. I'll have thousands of people running to my front door who can't afford one.
Right.
But they will.
It's like winning the lottery.
Yeah, they'll know full well that this Damien Hirst, irrespective of whatever, is worth this much money purely because, like with John P and Bitcoin, there's so many other people that will vouch for that I can rest assured that it is worth that much,
right?
Even though intrinsically it might not be.
Right.
And that's really
trust.
Coming back to what you say about John P.
Right.
At what point does it start to work? Well, the extent to which it works is the extent to which there are John P out there. The more John P there are out there, then I think the
and I think you're going to need also a celebrity boost to get it going, because everything you're saying is all based on celebrity with Damien Hirst. I mean,
yeah, sure,
or Banksy.
Yeah,
it's a commodity. It's something they've heard about. It's a brand.
Yeah.
So I mean, what was Damien Hirst making when he was 18 years old? You know, if he was a student making stuff, you know, maybe he was stuffing rabbits. Who knows what?
Well, maybe. Yeah.
And
we might have to become the celebrities, Ron.
This is why I think this is important for you to start celebritizing yourself. It's like taking care of that, because nobody's doing it for us, and that's going back to Stuckism.
That'll be a bigger scam than John P.
That'd be what?
Bigger scam? Yeah, getting people to be interested in me is a bigger.
I don't think so. I think you're on the cusp. I think you're on the cusp. I really do.
We'll see. Let's hope so.
You're still young enough.
Oh, right,
in your 40s. That's still a very good age to be.
I'm clinging on to my 40s.
And you're polite in public, and people like that. Jeff Koons.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, well, you would do much better than me at the Camden demo. And I think that was not just the town cry. The town cry did help, but also
American accent.
Yeah, that did help.
Yeah.
But also your hyperactivity was apparent, and mine isn't.
Well, because it was two different things. You were doing jumpy. You didn't put your work out. Other work.
No, yours was just jumpy. Yeah.
Yours was just jumpy. And I had my, pastels, a painting.
But I saw you. You were animated around there, and it really was engaging people.
Yeah.
And I think that works. I need to.
Right.
My animation is all internal. You physicalise yours.
I do, and then
really
Rose
good.
always says I do that very well. I bring people into the gallery shows I have in the house.
If I needed a salesman, you're the first person.
Oh, that's what she said today, because I told her about selling my art. Got to get it sold. She said, sell it then. She said, start selling it. I said, okay, fine.
My last question is 12 questions each, by the way.
Oh, okay.
To what extent, if any, do you predict the outcome of making a painting?
To what extent, if any, do I predict an outcome? It's going to be a short answer. I never know the outcome.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Good. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, you're welcome, Andrew. All right. My questions aren't going to be as good.
No worries. I'm just going to stop and start this lot. That was 1 hour 9 minutes.
Okay, good.
Oh, and this can stop.
I think you actually were kind of